Bienvenue tous. Hello everyone, you're watching France 24. This, of course, is Reporters, our programme that takes you to the places where the news is about to happen next. Today we head to Jordan to see a hospital like no other. Their aim is to help actually reconstruct lives and bodies quite literally torn apart. They receive the wounded from the war in Iraq, people wounded by bombs in marketplaces, light or heavy artillery, military bombardments. It was set up in 2006 by Médecins Sans Frontières with help from the local hospital. This unit helps those who have been seriously injured in the conflict and have been brought to Jordan only for an operation. The medical services in Iraq, of course, overwhelmed. Now, often there's no choice but to transfer the wounded over the border. Our reporters Valérie Lebon and Laina Saleh went with 4 people to see how their lives and physical appearance have been wrecked in the violence in Iraq and what would happen to them next. Now, a warning to you, some of the images that you're about to see will be very difficult to watch.
For the guests at this hotel in central Amman in Jordan, today is a special day. The residents are all Iraqis, and they're all innocent victims of the conflict in Iraq that began in 2003, disfigured by insurgency attacks or wounded by stray bullets. Hundreds of patients from across Iraq's religious spectrum have been treated thanks to the NGO Doctors Without Borders.
They're far from home, so we try to help them psychologically. The children who come here, they come with one objective: to get treatment. So they spend all their time here at the clinic or in the operating theatre.
During their stay in Jordan, the patients are shuttled between their base in the hotel and the Red Crescent Hospital. Hanan is 17 years old. In January 2009, she was badly burnt by a car bomb explosion in Baghdad. 12 days ago, she underwent a major surgery. This is her first opportunity to speak with the doctor who operated on her, and a chance for a first look at the results.
Why are you scared? Why are you crying? Hanin, talk to me.
Because of my hand. What's going to happen?
In a few days, we'll take out the metal strips, and you'll be able to move it again.
And the next operation? Will it be my hand or my face?
Your face.
I'm counting on you, doctor, to rebuild my face.
Calm down, Hanin. I told you I wouldn't let you down. There are priorities, and your hand is the most important.
Hanan is only beginning what will be a long and painful process. Her mother calls on Allah to alleviate her daughter's suffering. For security reasons, she wants to keep her identity secret. Her husband's been kidnapped in Iraq, and she fears for his safety. And she's been forced to leave her other children behind to spend more time caring for Hanan. Before her injuries, the teenager didn't used to wear a veil that covered her face. Now she does. It's to protect her from the sun, and as well as avoid being seen by other people.
When you were with the doctor, you asked him to take care of your face first?
All I want is to take off the veil because I'm not used to it.
Is it really that bad?
Yes, I can't even breathe.
The hospital in Amman is just one step towards Hanan's recovery. She'll have to undergo dozens of operations, as well as come to terms with some wounds that may never fully heal. Since the programme began in 2007, almost 1,000 patients have been cared for at the centre. But treating injuries this serious takes time, sometimes years. Almost a quarter of patients have facial injuries like Hussein. He's 5 years old. He's been in and out of operating theatres for nearly his entire life.
It happened on the 15th of September 2005. Our house is on the main street in the town of Hilla. A car bomb blew up just next to the house.
How old was your son?
He was 10 months old. Since then, all he's ever done is be operated on.
Hussein has grown up in hospital, but like any 5-year-old, his first thought when he wakes up is to play. The car bomb robbed Hussein of his childhood and turned his family's life upside down. His father has to take long periods of leave from his job to be by his side. Back at the hotel, a crowd of children who haven't had much luck in their short lives, playing on the steps. They all have scars to bear and memories they can't get rid of. Here, almost everyone has lost a relative. Some mothers, like Huda, have lost a child.
I was a mother of 2 children. Now, I'm all alone. My whole life has changed. It's difficult to be handicapped. I had a job, a family, a house. All that's finished now. I lost everything in an instant.
Huda paid a high price indeed in the attack. Her 18-month-old daughter was killed, as well as her sister. She had to leave her young son behind. It was too painful for her to hold him in her arms, and she can't forget.
What a scene. There were only women and children. Men never went in there. It was a toy shop. I don't understand. The people who placed the bombs, didn't they see that there were children? Didn't they see their smiles? I loved her so much. I was so close to her.
I'm quite introverted. I hide my pain, my sadness. I try to stay strong, especially in front of Huda, until we get past this difficult time in our lives.
Here in the hospital, the wounds aren't just on the outside. Hanan has been seeing a psychologist ever since she arrived. Her emotions are still raw, a year on from the attack. Coming to terms with the reality of the situation, as well as her new face, isn't easy. And then there are the mental images that still haunt her.
Do you still have nightmares?
Yes, after the attack I often did. I relived the attack and I woke up screaming and crying. I wasn't the only victim. I hope I can be like I was before, even just a bit, if it's God's will. What happened was God's will. Thank God.
Hanan's faith in God does mean she can think about the future. Here with the doctors, she feels safe. She's old enough to get married, and she hopes that her husband-to-be will wait for her.
She's got a fiancé. If God wishes it, once she's recovered, she'll get married.
But there's no way of avoiding negative thoughts. Her future groom could reject her. Her only hope is that the medical procedures will allow her to regain a bit of what she looked like before. Hanan's ordeal is far from unique. Before her, scores of other patients have been through the same physical and mental pain. These nurses have come for one of them. Qusay is about to undergo his 12th operation. He's 22 years old. He was left for dead after the gym where he was working out was blown up. The attack cost him his nose and his sight.
So how do you feel?
Thank God I'm alive.
You're not scared?
No, not at all.
What about you?
I brought him here so that he can be operated on, and I hope that it'll work.
Qusay is now thinking about his future in Jordan. For the past month he's been learning to read Braille, and he hopes to settle down and raise a family. But before that he faces more time in theatre, this time for reconstructive plastic surgery. The 3-hour procedure is a delicate operation. Dr. Omar wants to remodel his patient's upper lip and his cheek. That's the final step before rebuilding his nose and finally giving Qusay a new face. Doctors Without Borders, the NGO that runs the program, bases its care around 3 specialties: orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, and treating facial injuries. There are 900 surgical interventions every year. Most of the doctors are from Iraq. They have a great deal of experience in combat injuries, and despite their qualifications and priceless skills, many were forced to flee their home country. Now their role here is to give back a bit of dignity to their countrymen.
It's difficult for me to see them. I'm not the only one. All the doctors here feel this pain. The type of injuries to the face that you see here every day are very specific. But we do everything we can to help the patients, to care for them, and to support them in any way we can, so that they can return to a normal life.
This is Hussein's first trip outdoors since the operation on his lip. In a few weeks he should be able to close his mouth normally. But not everyone has been so lucky. Countless more children in Iraq have similar injuries. But despite his outward bravery, Mohammed still cannot rid himself of the images of his son's stricken body.
My blood froze. and I cried the first 3 days. The doctors said it was over. When I saw him, I really did think he wouldn't survive. He was burnt all over. They could only begin treating him 10 days later. That's when we began to hope again.
Today, Hussein has made enormous progress, and his father only thinks of one thing: the future.
Compared to many children in Iraq, Hussein has been lucky. He's got 2 legs and 2 arms. He can walk. He can write with a pencil. He can eat. He lost a finger, but that's not much. He can do everything now.
Mohammed's priority for his son is to give him a childhood and allow him to play and dream like a normal child of his age. Hussein himself wants to make the most of his life, and he wants to return to Iraq, above all to see his mother. Huda and her husband, meanwhile, have only just arrived in Amman. It's their first trip outside Baghdad since the attack. The couple are on their way to the hospital for their first meeting with the medical team. Both are anxious and impatient to hear the doctor's verdict, and to find out whether Huda will one day be able to walk again.
So what happened?
It was an explosion.
In 2009?
Yes.
The X-rays allow the doctors to make an initial diagnosis.
Raise your leg. Push.
The medical team evaluates Huda's mobility, and she takes a few tentative steps.
Is that painful?
Yes, a bit.
Finally, the verdict is in.
You see, it's different now. What was the problem before? You should have been able to walk already.
Yes, but I had a problem with the bones.
Yes, I know, but in 12 months' time, you'll be walking again.
It's a huge relief for Huda and her husband. In a year's time, she'll be able to get rid of her leg brace and her wheelchair and return to Iraq. There, she'll be able to go back to the life that she led before the attack, looking after her family and her husband. But in Iraq itself, the violence continues. In June alone, 284 Iraqis were killed and 610 injured. The number of those scarred for life, like those being treated in Jordan, remains difficult to estimate.
Well, Valerie Le Bon is with us now. Valerie, the people that you followed in this report, it's obviously a very moving story. What's going to happen to those people next?
Well, when these people were taken on to this program with Médecins Sans Frontières, they knew that it was going to take a long, long time, many years. Several of them had to undergo several surgical operations to try and find a new, better image of themselves, both physically and morally. So, in other words, some like Hanine, along the lady we're going to see in the piece of reporting, have just joined the program, and she knows she's going to have to go through years to build up her body image and her psychological state of mind. So you have to forget about the terrorist attack, work on accepting one's new image and accepting this new life that is about to start. And then you have to go through all of the physical difficulties, like the many operations, and there MSF helps them to move forward.
They've been through. Tell us why this special unit is actually set up in Jordan.
Well, MSF decided to put it in Jordan for reasons of safety and security. They had decided to set up a unit for people who were burnt in Iraq, but their staff came in danger. And since Jordan is a neighboring country, which is relatively stable, they said, well, why not in Jordan? After that, they had to negotiate things with the kingdom because the kingdom of Jordan receives many refugees from Iraq because of the war in Iraq. So Jordan was afraid that this program set up by MSF would draw more Iraqis into Jordan. The association had to negotiate things with the kingdom in order to reassure Jordan through a contract they passed with the patients that the patients, or a majority of these patients, will go back to Iraq.
Doctors too who are working there, very talented, very gifted people, but they've been under threat too, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Well, most surgeons, most of them who operate there, are Iraqi doctors, Iraqi surgeons who fled their country because they came under threat. And for them, it's a real honor to be able to take care and operate on their fellow citizens. They know, of course, that it's a heavy task, a heavy responsibility, but they're so used to living in a conflict that surgery in wartime has become their specialty. When you see the surgical operations that they perform, for those of you or of us who are not used to seeing that, is absolutely fantastic. It's almost miraculous. They create noses, they recreate limbs, and they can give a new hope to those who've been destroyed by the bombs.
Valerie, thank you very much indeed. And of course, we will be following this story to see how those people get on, as the months and years ahead unfold. You're watching Reporters. This is France 24. Stay with us.